The gaslighting of the media. Conservatives think Wicked is a perversion of the original Wizards of Oz books. It's not just think, it actually is a perversion of the Wizard of Oz books, and I'm going to go into why it is in just a moment, because this is what the press does. They make the perversion. They know it's a perversion. The whole intention of Wicked is to paint the Wicked Witch of the West as a good individual, even though she's an evil individual in the book. That is the definition of perversion right there, which I'll also get into just to make you aware of what that is. So many people are illiterate today, including the writers in the Access Media here. And it's pretty interesting. They call it a whimsical press tour. And you see how they gaslight, acting like this is just normal. These people are normal. But you could even tell by looking at them, there's something wrong with them. These aren't normal people. And this is what they're increasingly trying to make society look like. And this is the destruction of society in a nutshell. And let's get into this news in just a moment as we talk about all of the real fantasy news here. The stuff that other fantasy news guys won't talk about because he just shills and shills and shills. But yes, my name's John Delarose, and I appreciate you guys being here. Please hit the like and subscribe button and join us as we discuss all the hottest topics in culture. And here is my book, The Demon's Eye. So I decided to make a fantasy novel that is structured like a lot of the good stuff in the Silver and Golden Age, with a real hero, a real masculine hero, no feminism, none of that stuff, and actually just do it right. And so it's got classic sword and sorcery feels to it. I hope you'll check it out. It's in the description below. Thank you guys for making this a success over the course of the year as it's come out, and I appreciate everybody who reads. This is the way to go forward, is to build new culture and actually to stay away from stuff like Wicked, which I'm sure you guys are probably doing anyway. But not a lot of people in our circles on YouTube are really talking about this from this perspective, and it's kind of a weird thing. You'd think that there'd be a little bit more of that, right? And so this is it, how Wicked is a real perversion of Wizard of Oz and encapsulates the worst of modern culture, which is an article I came out with today. And this is it. Vanity Fair wants you to believe that conservatives are overreacting to Wicked. However, the musical film and its adaptations invert the original concept, replacing a wholesome American fairy tale with a cynical deconstruction that treats the original story's moral clarity as naive and outdated, right? And that's exactly what they do with everything. The old stuff is naive and outdated, right? Always. And the new stuff, that's the real story. That's the story behind the story is like how she got to be, treated as the Wicked Witch of the West by these white males who are terrible people, right? That's all it's about. So L. Frank Baum published The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1900 as an American fairy tale. That was his intention. In his introduction, he wrote he wanted to create a modern fairy tale that eliminated horrible and blood-curdling elements of European folklore. That's the whole purpose of it. The time has come for the series of newer and wonder tales in which stereotyped genie, dwarf, and fairy are eliminated, together with the horrible blood-curdling incidents devised by their authors to point a fearsome moral, he explained. So his goal was entertainment without nightmare fuel and adventure without trauma. Pretty neat and pretty wholesome. Good stuff. The story was very straightforward. Of course, everybody knows it. Dorothy Gale, a Kansas farm girl, gets swept into a magical land by a tornado. She wants to go home. Along the way, she befriends the Scarecrow, who wants brains, a Tin Woodsman, who wants a heart, and, of course, Cowardly Lion, who wants courage. They travel to the Emerald City to ask the wizard for help. The wizard turns out to be a fraud, representing a carnival huckster from Omaha, using tricks and illusion to maintain his power. But Dorothy and her friends discover they already possess what they sought. Scarecrow was always clever, the Tin Woodsman was always compassionate, and the Lion was always brave. They just needed to recognize the good within them. It's a very wholesome story. So she clicks her silver shoes, and yes, in the original book, they were silver, not ruby, 3 times to return home and says there's no place like home. The moral is simple. Appreciate what you have. This is really apt in time for Thanksgiving, too. Recognize your own strengths and understand that home and family matter more than adventure. Pretty good. So the wizard in the original storytelling is not the main villain. He's a con man who got in over his head trying to maintain order through deception. When exposed, he admits his fraud and tries to help Dorothy anyway. He's a pathetic person more than villainous. The Wicked Witch of the West, by contrast, is genuinely wicked. She enslaves Dorothy. She kills one of her companions and must be destroyed. There's no ambiguity there. She's the villain. Dorothy is the hero. Good triumphs over evil through courage, friendship, and a bucket of water. So Baum wrote 14 Oz books in between 1900 and 1920, and the series expanded the world, but very much had similar themes. And of course, the good versus evil triumphed through this entire thing in the entire deal. And that's what good storytelling used to be. That's exactly what we try to fight against in the culture, is the subversion of that. And that's exactly what we need to bring back, because Hollywood refuses to do this, even in anything. There's no real heroes anymore. Large part of things. So in the MGM 1939 film, Judy Garland cemented this, and it became an American icon, right? And they changed it a little bit, adding "It Was All a Dream," which was not a part of the original book, but the moral core remained to this entire deal. Now, in 1995, let's enter Gregory Maguire's 1995 novel, Wicked, The Life and the Times of the Wicked Witch in the West. Now, it's the 90s, so what do? They make it edgy. They subvert things. That's exactly what the 90s really pushed our culture into the destructiveness that it is now. This was it really begins, the darkness kind of crept in the 80s a little bit, but the 90s is really where it decided, let's be edgy with everything. And that's it. What if she was the hero? What if Glinda was the villain? What if the wizard was a fascist dictator and the witch was a freedom fighter? It's so tiring, right? And so that's what they came up with during this whole situation. And you could see what they do here. This is the good guy now, right? The concept is one that's repeated throughout modern entertainment culture, the inversion of good and evil, the deconstruction of great work that came before. We see this in everything these days. If you look at recent sci-fi movies, you have Tron Ares, where the evil program learned to be good. And then you have Predator Badlands, where Hollywood turned a monster into a protagonist, right? So Maguire's novel, likewise, is a postmodern deconstruction. It takes Baum's clear moral framework and inverts it, arguing that good and evil are matters of perspective, and the heroes of the original stories were actually the oppressors. The villain was misunderstood revolutionary fighting against injustice. This is feminism in a nutshell. The book is dark, sexually explicit, and philosophically nihilistic. Elphaba, who is the witch, is born green due to her mother's affair in a mysterious green elixir. She becomes a political activist fighting for animal rights. Oh yes, please clap. She has an affair with Fiyero, who later becomes the Scarecrow. She eventually is branded a terrorist and hunted by the state. What a tired, sad thing. Now, the musical, of course, changed this and made it a little lighter in tone because it's a musical, right? And it's ridiculous. And this talks about her entire situation. And the song, the most famous one, Defying Gravity, is all about rejecting society's expectations, embracing her identity, right? And this is the modern problem with all culture right now, right? I'm through accepting the limits because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but I'll try. I'll never know, right? And that's it. She becomes wicked because society labeled her that way, not because she actually does wicked things. So this is the perversion. Baum's original story had a villain who enslaved people and had to be stopped. Wicked said there was no villain, just a woman fighting oppression who was slandered by the powerful. It's a feminist trope nightmare. Baum's story celebrated home, family, and traditional values. Wicked celebrates rebellion, rejection of authority, and the idea is that society's moral judgments are arbitrary and oppressive. So let's fast forward to Ariana Grande, who is in this, her claim that Oz has always been a queer place, showing how historical illiteracy is then pushed to even more modern woke agendas. Baum was a theater man who worked in vaudeville and knew plenty of theater types, but nothing about his 14 Oz books suggests he intended the series to be coded queer allegory. The books are adventure stories for children, fearing clear heroes and villains, magical lands, and moral lessons about courage and kindness. Now, they always do this with all the things too. Things that are intended to be for children, they change into an adult thing, so they become stunted adults in all of this stuff, and that's exactly what happens all the way around. So really crazy. Wicked's creators have been explicit about their intentions trying to exploit these reactions and reinvent Oz. In a 2003 interview with Playbill, Stephen Schwartz said the musical explores the nature of good and evil and questions whether labels that are put on people are accurate. Winnie Holzman told the New York Times, Schwartz-Holtzman, I'm noticing something interesting, told the New York Times that the show asked, what is evil? How do we define it? And are we sure we know who the good guys are? Yes, these postmodern questions assume moral clarity is naive, but Baum's story didn't ask these questions because he knew the answer. The Wicked Witch enslaves people and must be stopped. Dorothy helps the oppressed and deserves to go home. Good and evil are real. You can tell them apart by their actions. As Christ said, you will know them by their fruits. So when conservatives are talking about this, and Vanity Fair writes this stupid article right here that they think Wicked is a perversion of L. Frank Baum's original books, It actually is, right? This is a perversion. Everything about this, from the stars, the casting, the tropes, and what they're trying to do with the messaging, and actually to manipulate women through this super emotional drama, is a perversion of what Wizard of Oz was supposed to be. And that is a hallmark of everything that's wrong with our culture right now. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Please, if you like my thoughts on writing and the like, check out my Demon's Eye. This is a classic fantasy with good versus evil. You'll really enjoy this. Thank you for being here. It's in the description below, and I appreciate you reading. We'll be back.